before we start, the thing is, this design has a lot of elements, so it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to be forwarding the parts that need to be forwarded. But trust me, you'll get to understand how I got to achieve this flyer at the end of the tutorial. So please follow along and make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get new content whenever I upload. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I'm going to my background area and I'll choose a blank document like this. So with this, I want to go into my gallery and import the design so that we'll be looking at it and be very fast. Okay. Alright, so I have successfully imported the design. So this is what we are going to be doing. Okay, so let's look at it and start. The first thing I have to do is to choose the background color. So I'm going to my background area and I'm going to choose the color. So I'll click on the plus icon over here, click on the color picker tool at the top, and I'll click on the actual design to pick the color that I use from the original design. Okay, so this is the color code that I use for the background. Okay, this is the color code. So I'll click OK and choose OK again. Now that the background color has been set, the next thing that I need to do is to actually choose the footer side, which is this orange thing over here. But actually, the color that I use for your background is not just a solid color like this. So if you look at it closely, you realize that there's a color difference between the two portions here. But just that the white background over here is superimposing or covering the first the other color. That's why you can't see it. So let's just maintain a single color like this. Okay, so I'm going, the next time, like I said, is to go and import a shape. So I'll click on the shape tool here and I'll increase the radius slightly like this. Then I'll drag the edges to the end like this. Okay, so if you look at the original one, you see that the radius is not that thick like the one that I'm currently doing. So I'm going to reduce the radius to something like 6, or yeah, I think 10 is okay. Then I'll click on check. Now I'm going to drag this to the bottom. Okay, and I'll make sure that the edge is showing right here. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the size slightly like this, and I'm going to position it right at the bottom like this. Okay, now that we have this, the next thing is to copy this one. But first of all, I'm going to lock this layer and I'm going to copy this. Now bring it onto the first one. Now I'm going to click on this edit icon over here to edit the first shape to a new shape. Okay, it's the same shape, but then I need a different effect on it. So I'm going to click on the edit, then I'll bring it down slightly like this. So with this, I have to reduce the size. Okay, so with this, I'm going to reduce the opacity here to 0. Then I'll scroll down to the bottom and make use of the stroke. I'm going to increase the strokes to something like 2. So this one you can change it to your preference. All right, so 2 or 3 is fine. Then I'll choose the color that I want. So I'll click on the plus icon, click on the color picker tool, and on the design, then I'll choose this orange color that I used in this design. Okay, so this is the orange color. You can choose to make it a little bit lighter than the original. So I'll hit check, and now you can see what I did over here. All right, so I'm going to reduce this size to slightly, and I'll bring it right in the middle. Okay, I hope you are following. Okay, so I'm going to my shadow area and I'll enable the shadow. Now that the shadow has been enabled, let me reduce the blurring radius slightly and give it something like this. Okay, then I'll go back to my stroke and give it a little bit of stroke. Alright, so the stroke is okay. I think one stroke is fine. Alright, so the next thing is to copy the same shape again. So I'll lock this layer, come to this second layer, then I'll copy it. I'm going to copy this, bring it down, edit it. So this time around I'm going to remove the radius out of it. Okay, and I'm going to choose a different color for it. So I'm going to pick the color from the background, which I've shown you the color code already. So I will click this check and then I'll move it slightly. Now I have to bring this layer down to the previous layer. Okay, so as you can see, this is how I achieved the effect. Okay, so let me just increase the edge slightly. Okay, so this is what I did, and all right, so I can choose to lock this layer or leave it. So locking the layer will just help you not to interfere with the rest of the design. Okay, so I can copy this layer once more. I can copy the layer once more, and this time around I'm going to change the size again and bring it down, and then I'm going to change the color too as well. So with this, you can click on the color, enable the color, and choose the color that you want. Okay, so this is what I did. Now we have successfully achieved the footer side. The next thing I'm going to do is to bring on board the food items. Okay, so before that, let me lock this layer, and then I'm going to my gallery to bring the food items on board. But this food, I did not just import it directly. So the thing that what I did was that I click on the shapes, change it to a circle, then I reduce the size and position it right at this side. Okay, so this time around, don't choose any color from here. Whilst you are editing the shape, don't choose any color. So I have a reason for this. If you choose a color from here, okay, and you click on the check mark right here, what is going to happen is that when you go to your textures, this place, when you go to your textures and you want to import the image that you use, so let's quickly look at this and you see what I meant. So these are my food items. So I'll click on one of them and I'll click on this one-on-one ratio over here, and I'll click on check. Okay, so let's continue. As you can see, it has given the circle a round edge or circumference that is having the same color as the background. This is what I want actually, so let's just ignore the everything and continue. Okay, so I can copy this circle with the food. I can copy it and bring it down several times. So we have 4 of them. I'm going to copy this one again, bring it down like this, copy this one again and bring it to this side. Now I need different food types, so I'll click on the second one and I'll choose something like this. So I'm going to my textures and I'm going to change the texture for this, which means I'm going to choose a different food item. Okay, so this okay, so I'm going to choose this food item. Let me choose the second one. The same thing applies to the remaining ones. Okay, alright, so now that I've successfully imported this, I can now take my time and position them to have equal spaces in between them. Okay, now one thing you have to make sure over here is that the space between the edge of this shape to the first foot should be the space between the edge here to the first foot. Then the top two must be equal. Alright, so with this you can make use of the grid tool, or you can also use your eye to just check what you are doing is right. Okay, and the space between this first foot and the second foot must also be equal to the space between the second foot, the third foot, and the last foot. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to my move tool and move this one slightly to the top, and this one too. This is fine. I'm moving it to the right slightly, and this one is also going to the right, the left rather, sorry, and to the top slightly like this. So with these 4 foots, you can choose to give it a stroke, but I prefer it to be like this. Okay, so that you can be very fast in our design. Alright, so I'm going to lock all these layers since I'm done using them for now. Okay, once they are locked, I'll go and bring the rest of the items onto the working area. So I'm going to bring these leaves first. So let me go and bring the leaves first. Alright, so now that the leaves and the pepper has been successfully imported into my working area, I'll have to position them. So the first one is at the edge right here, so I'm going to rotate this slightly, reduce the size, and bring it right at the edge here. So this is too small. I'm going to bring it to the edge right here. I'm going to copy this, rotate it slightly, and bring it to the bottom here too as well. Okay, so the next one is at the top, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to rotate this like this, like this. Now position it right here and copy it once more. Then I'm going to reduce this one and position it like this. That's nice. So the ones that I did so far, these 4 items here. So it's left with these 2, which is the pepper and the small leaf. So this one I can work with it later, so I'm going to hide it. Then I can work with the pepper. The first pepper is right at the top here, so something like this. Reduce the size and position it right here, and I'm going to copy it once again, and I'm going to position it, so rotate it like this, and then I'm going to position it right at the edge, also like this. All these things are just to give the design a balance. Okay, so I'm going to lock this pepper too. Okay, so now we are through with this. The next thing I'm going to do is to bring the image of the model. Okay, so I'm going to my gallery and import the model. Okay, so I'm going to send my model to the back of this shapes. Okay, so I'm going to position my model very well. Okay, let me reduce the size because I want the plate to be showing the edge right here. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring another circle, or just copy this one of these circles over here. I'm going to copy one of these circles here. Now position it right here, and I'm going to change the fill to be, or the texture actually. So I'm going to change the texture to a different food item. Okay, so you can see this is not working, so I'll delete this one, then I'll go straight to my gallery and import the food item directly onto the working area. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'll go to my gallery and I'm choosing this item right here. So I just have to reduce the size. Okay, so I can now bring it into the plate. Now I'm going to make use of this tool right here, the 3D rotates, and I'll rotate the X like this. Okay, and I'll position it right into the plate. Something like this is fine. I'm going to copy this and repeat it for the second side too as well, but make sure it is in the plates so that it doesn't raise any suspicion that this is a different plate in another place. Okay, so something like this is fine. Okay, actually it's not going to show, so there's no way anyone is going to know that this is what you did. Okay, so once I'm done with this, I can lock the layers and then I can move on to the text side. Okay, so let me lock the model too. Alright, so I'm clicking on my text tool and I'm going to type Ben's Kitchen at the top here. So Ben's Kitchen, Ben's Kitchen. Alright, so I'm going to change my font type to scroll down. I'm actually using the new font. Okay, I didn't use the one that I've imported myself. So you scroll down to the bottom and look for this font called, yeah, I think this is the font, this particular one. No, that's not it. Okay, so guys, actually I used the font called Quasi, so it's not in the original fonts. So I'll leave a link to the fonts that you can use. You can actually use any other fonts. Okay, so this is the font that I use, and I'll change the color of the bottom one to this color at the bottom, which is orange. So I'll click on my color and I'll bring this to the kitchen and press on this color. So I want to make it a little bit lighter than this, so this is what I'm going to do. Now let me move my design to this side. Okay, so I'm going to position this right at the top here. Okay, so with this you can make use of your grid tool. The grid tool only makes your work neat and presentable. Okay, so make sure the edge that you are using is the same all around, but I wouldn't like to use it. So okay, so after this, the next thing I'm going to do is to bring the text box underneath this text box right here, this one right here. So yes, so I'm going to click on another shape, then I'll reduce the radius to something like this, and also the shape like this. So what I did was, the size of this shape must be something close to the length of this kitchen. Okay, so this is like this, so I can actually get to increase the size of the kitchen, so it's not a big deal over here. I'm reducing the radius slightly once more to something like 17 or 15. Yeah, 15 is fine, I guess. Then I'll lock it. Now I'm going to choose a color. Sorry, don't check it yet. I'm going to choose a color. So click on gradient and choose this color combination. Okay, so it's something like this. Yeah, it's something like this. So I can now check it. From here I'm going to give it a shadow. Give it a shadow. Just click on the shadow and check it like this. Okay, so if you are done with this, copy it once again. Copy it and then reduce the size slightly and position it at the top like this. Okay, so now you can leave it like this. Yeah, you can leave it like this. Then you bring another shape, which is the white part. So guys, I may be following the video from here. Okay, I don't want the video to take too long, so yes, so I'm going to increase the radius for this one too and make sure it fits right into this shape. All right, I'm going to check. I think this is okay. I'll make sure it is aligned at the middle of these two shapes. Something like this is fine. Then I'm going to my text tool again and I'm going to type our services. Okay, so this will be in all caps, and I'll go click on color and choose the color that I want. Now with this I can choose this style, the bow style for this, and reduce the size slightly and make it fit into the original shape like this. Okay, so I'm going to click on this shape here, this shape, and copy it. Now this time around I'm going to edit it. So with the edit, I want to reduce the opacity to 0, and I also want to increase the radius to something like, I think 2 will work. Yes, and I will have to change the color for the stroke to something like this. Okay, so let me give it like 3. Yes, 3 is fine. So I can position it right on top of this one. But what I did is, I don't want it to be too obvious, so I reduce the opacity for this one too. Reduce the opacity slightly, and then I'll give it background, or let me give it a stroke from here. A stroke of 1 will do. Yes, so this is what I did. This shape is actually smaller than the previous one, but let's just skip to it so that will be very fast. So the next thing is to bring the other text in here, or the food items in there, onto my canvas. Alright guys, so like I said earlier, in order to reduce the time, I did the list of these things, how do you call it, the list of the food items already. Okay, so I'll just import them like I did over here. reduce the size and position them right into this space. Okay, so something like this should be fine. Okay, and the next one too, which is at the footer side, I'm going to import that one too. So this one shouldn't be difficult for you to do yourself, since it's just text. Okay, so I'm clicking here. So guys, we are almost done with this. Let me hide this design for the meantime, the original design, or let me just reduce it to. Now as you can see, we have some text right at the top here too, on top of the food. So that's the only thing we are going to do right now, and we are done with our design. So if you have watched the video up to this point, please consider subscribing to the channel and make sure you turn on the notification so that anytime I upload a new video, you'll be the first person to get notified. Okay, so let me choose another text. So this one, I think I will be choosing it from okay, let me just start from here. So the text here is saying that we should order our favorite. So that's what I'm going to do. Say order your favorites. Okay, so I'm going to change the color to this, and I'm going to change this one to, I'm going to give it a stroke actually, and then wait, let me give it a style rather. So I'll golden this and change the font size, sorry, the font type. So I'll go to my fonts here, and I'm going to choose the fonts like so this one you can choose any font that you want, right? So I'm going to give it a stroke now, which is I'm going to give it white stroke. Now reduce the stroke to 1. Now let me give it 2. Going to my line spacing, I'm going to reduce the line spacing between them slightly. Okay, so I'm going to give it a shadow to make it pop. So I'm going to increase the shadow, something like this. Actually, yeah. So the opacity should be that. Oh, let me copy this one. I'm going to delete this. Then I'll copy the first one. Oh, sorry. And change it to we deliver in minutes. It should also be in all caps. Alright guys, so we are done with our design. Let me hide the original design and you see if we have gotten close to what we want. Okay, let me increase the size of this slightly. And this is how you can design an amazing flyer for your clients. So thank you very much for watching, and if you find this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel.